Over the past years, people have been arguing that the mecha genre is dying. Seasonal anime rosters feature little to no mecha shows in favor of rom-coms, popular shonen, and, unfortunately, isekai. Shut up, Garnt. Sunrise and Bandai, however, never seem to give up on the genre because that is one of their mainstays and sources of income. And with that said, a new Gundam series titled The Witch from Mercury, or G-Witch, is launching in October. In this video, we're gonna talk about whether or not G-Witch can save the mecha genre of anime. In the 90s and the 2000s, the fame of mecha exhibited a continuous growth in a trend that seemed like it would last forever. However, in the 2010s, we had a saturation of mecha shows, including those that people barely remember, such as Buddy Complex and Comet Lucifer. We also had shows that people do remember for bad reasons, such as Valvrave the Penetrator and Trainwreck in the Franxx. With that, I guess the anime industry got tired of drawing giant robots, and now we barely see mecha in anime. We do get a few gems here and there, such as the final Eva Rebuild movie, Gundam Hathaway's Flash, SSSS Gridman, and its follow-up Dynazenon. But the audience for those were just us mecha fans who have been passionately and sometimes blindly following the mecha genre for so long. But if you were to ask me about the last time I felt some hope that mecha can be saved, that would be the time I saw 86. It wasn't just a mecha show for mecha fans, but it also catered to anime fans in general. It was a show that had its own thing to talk about, and it didn't feel like it was just trying to be another mecha show. Sure, it did have some similarities with Code Geass, but those similarities are very surface level and don't really interfere with the originality of 86. The only thing that 86 lacked was mecha design that would be easily marketable as merchandise. Don't get me wrong, I do like 86's realistic mecha designs, but they actually had to grow on me. I didn't immediately like them. And let's face it, that for a mecha show to be successful, it needs to have mechas that easily appeal to teens, kids, and adults who would then buy these robots as toys and model kits. Companies need those over-the-top, colorful, high-presence robots to drive sales. I don't make the rules, that's just the way things are. Bandai's most recent attempt at saving the mecha genre was last year's Kyokai Senki. It was able to capture the interest of people in terms of model kits and merchandise. However, the show did not stick to people's hearts and memories because it lacked the originality that 86 had. So at the end of the day, it felt like it was 100% just a toy commercial. Actually, the new Gundam show already has the marketable mecha designs that 86 lacked. Heck, the high-grade Gundam Lufrith was one of the most hyped Gunpla kits ever to surface, with modelers rushing to showcase theirs all over the internet. However, can G-Witch have that same originality that 86 had? Honestly, G-Witch might have a hard time in that department, and here's why. First, this is a Gundam show, and like it or not, all Gundam shows are cursed to follow various tropes and themes that have been in the franchise for decades. The new show does have its own unique twists and its inclination to economic and industrial themes, but we'll have to see how those come into play in the future. Second, let's talk about G-Witch's writer, Ichiro Okuchi, aka the guy who wrote Code Geass and Valvrave. While he can be a pretty good writer sometimes, emphasis on sometimes, by the way, he has this habit of using plot devices in intense ways, and sometimes it gets out of hand. Heck, when I saw the G-Witch prologue, I already saw Okuchi's writing style all over the place. I mean, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it really depends on how much he uses and relies on the plot device. I will admit, G-Witch prologue did use the plot device in a way that was acceptable, in a way that was actually good. So yeah, let's talk about plot devices. Code Geass had Geass, a special ability that some characters had in the show, and Valvrave had the... I forgot if it had a name, but let's just call it the Valve Rape system. And now, here in G-Witch, we have the Permit Score system that strains or kills its user depending on the level it's used. I will say that the permit system is a very interesting take on the dark power trope, which is basically sacrificing a character's mental or physical health for power. We've seen this in Gundam Wing Zero system and Iron-Blooded Orphan's Alaya Viana system. I think that's how it's pronounced. I guess we can also mention Guts' Berserker armor from Berserk as an example of this trope. In the end, it all depends on whether or not Okuchi learned his lesson. He overused both the Geass and the Valve Rape system in their respective shows to produce intense situations in ways that don't feel natural and actually kind of forced. But yeah, like I said a while ago, the way he used the permit system in the prologue is quite acceptable. So yeah, given that, maybe there is actually hope. As for the upsides, there are many things that G-Witch has done right so far. First of all, we got one banger of a Yoasobi opening. While I agree that Yoasobi songs all sound the same, I still think it's great to see them doing Gundam, and a lot of weebs from the more general anime audience can get into G-Witch for this very reason. Yoasobi is very popular across the globe, and a lot of their fans may give Gundam and Mecha a try thanks to this collaboration. And on top of that, G-Witch so far looks beautiful. The background art is very detailed, the space colonies look breathtaking, the CGI scenes are very neatly rendered, the mobile suits look so good and fluid when animated, and the soundtrack just sounds majestic. Also, I initially wasn't a big fan of the dimly lit filter, but it is growing on me. Originally, I thought the dimly lit filter contrasted a little too much with G-Witch's cute and upbeat art style. But now I'm realizing that it's actually really easy on the eyes, and it might actually make the show a little easier to watch. Aesthetically, it seems Sunrise is applying the things it got right and the lessons it learned over the past decades. And lastly, I love Hiroshi Kobayashi as an anime director. If you watched my previous video about my first impressions on G-Witch, you know just how much I absolutely loved Hisomaso, and I can already see how the strengths of Hisomaso can translate into G-Witch, as the two shows share a lot of similarities. So now, let's answer the question. Do I think G-Witch can save the mecha genre? Personally, I don't think it can be good enough to revive the mecha genre's former glory, but I am quite confident that G-Witch can at least be a good and interesting Gundam show that Gundam fans will remember for a very long time. It's got nice designs, a dimly lit filter that's easy on the eyes, and a plot that seems interesting and a little different so far. What could possibly go wrong, right? Don't mess this up, Okuchi! And that's it for the video. Stay safe, keep watching mecha anime, keep buying kits, and have a nice day. Let's all look forward to G-Witch.